My name is Addison. I'm sitting in my Seattle apartment, looking out at the city skyline. The room is quiet, and I'm finally at peace. But it wasn't always like this. Let me take you back to that fateful night when my world was turned upside down. I was in a boardroom in Seattle, surrounded by important investors. It was the biggest meeting of the year for my business. I had spent months preparing for it, and everything was going smoothly. My phone was face down on the table, and I usually ignore it during meetings. But for some reason, I felt a strange urge to check it. I turned it over, and the screen lit up with a notification from Instagram. It was a post from my mother, and my heart skipped a beat. The photo showed my mother, father, and younger sister, Lily, laughing and holding glasses of wine. Behind them was the view of my Malibu beach house, a place I had worked so hard to buy. I stared at the screen in disbelief. I hadn't given them the keys, and I hadn't told them they could go. They had invaded my private space without my permission. And then I read the caption, "Finally, peace without the drama." It felt like a punch in the gut. They were enjoying my house and my money, all while making it seem like I was the problem. I felt a physical pain in my chest. I had always been the responsible one in the family, the one who worked hard to achieve success. But my parents and sister never seemed to appreciate it. They always took advantage of me, asking for money and favors without ever saying thank you. I tried to focus on the meeting, but I couldn't. I kept thinking about the photo and the caption. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what. I excused myself from the meeting, saying I had a family emergency. I got into my car and drove to my apartment. I needed to think. I sat in the driver's seat, looking at the phone again. I zoomed in on the backgrounds of the photos, looking for damage. I saw a suitcase open on the deck, clothes spilled everywhere. They had been there for a while. My phone buzzed again. It was a text from Lily. "Hey, Mom said you might be busy, but just wanted to say hi. Hope Seattle is rainy, lol. It's beautiful here." She was playing a game, trying to make me jealous. I didn't reply. I thought about calling them, but I knew it would be a waste of time. They would just gaslight me and make me feel like I was the bad guy. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I walked into my apartment and sat down at my desk. I opened my laptop and logged into my security dashboard. I had a comprehensive smart home system in Malibu, with cameras, smart locks, and climate control. I paid a premium for it because I traveled so much and needed to be able to keep an eye on my house. I checked the access logs and found out that my mother had used an old emergency code to get in. I had given her that code years ago when I bought my first condo, but I had forgotten to delete it when I bought the Malibu house. She had kept it for all these years, waiting for the right moment to use it. I called my property manager, Tom. He was a professional and had dealt with situations like this before. I told him what had happened and asked him to reset all the codes on the property, change the Wi-Fi password, and log out the smart TV from all accounts. I also asked him to set the alarm to away mode at midnight. Tom was hesitant at first, but he understood my situation. He said he would take care of it. I felt a sense of relief, but I also knew that the worst was yet to come. I watched the live feeds from the cameras. My family was still enjoying themselves, completely unaware of what was about to happen. My mother was cooking in the kitchen, my father was sitting on the deck, and Lily was in the living room watching TV. As midnight approached, I watched the clock on my laptop. I felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. I knew I was about to do something that would change my relationship with my family forever, but I also knew it was the right thing to do. At 12 a.m. The app flashed, configuration updating. System rebooting. Codes changed. Alarm system armed away. It was done. I leaned forward, my eyes glued to the screen, waiting for the chaos to begin. It didn't take long. Lily was the first to notice that something was wrong. She tried to refresh her phone, but the Wi-Fi was gone. She stood up and walked over to the router, shaking it in frustration. My mother looked up from the kitchen, annoyed. My mother walked over to the sliding glass door and opened it. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm went off. My mother froze, looking at the keypad on the wall. She started typing the old code, but it didn't work. She typed it again, faster this time, but it still didn't work. My father woke up on the lounger, startled. He looked around, confused. Lily ran over to the keypad and pushed my mother out of the way. She tried a code, probably my birthday or hers, but it didn't work either. They had 30 seconds before the siren went off. I watched them panic, shouting and running around. My father tried to go back in to get something, but the smart lock engaged, and he was locked out. The siren cut loose, a deafening, piercing sound. My sister screamed, and my father covered his ears. My phone on the desk lit up with incoming calls and texts. I watched it ring, but I didn't answer. On the screen, I could see the neighbors' lights turning on. My family was now a public nuisance. My father decided they needed to leave. They started grabbing their things and dragging their suitcases out onto the driveway. My phone kept vibrating. Incoming call, Mom. Incoming call, Dad. Incoming text, what is happening? Incoming text, the alarm is going off, help us. I picked up the phone, but I didn't answer. I opened the security app and pressed the button to silence the siren. The silence on the video feed was almost visible. They all stopped moving, looking around panting. They thought it was over, that maybe it was a glitch and I had fixed it. My father reached for the door handle again, but the code was still denied. They were locked out, and they had left half their things inside. My mother's purse was probably on the counter, and the car keys were in my father's hand. They huddled together in the driveway, shivering in the cold. My phone rang again. It was my mother. I swiped to answer. She sounded hysterical. Addison, thank God. Something is wrong with the house. The alarm went off. We're locked out. It's freezing. You need to unlock the door right now. The codes aren't working. Her voice was demanding, not apologetic. She didn't say sorry for waking me up or for being there without my permission. She just gave orders. I know, I said, my voice calm and steady. I know the codes aren't working. I changed them, Mom. I set the alarm. I locked you out. You what? She shrieked. We are your family. This is your house. How dare you use that word? You didn't ask, I said. You stole my time. You stole my space, and you lied about it. Aurora, open this door right now, my father's voice came from the background. He was yelling near the phone. I'm not playing games with you. Open the goddamn door. I'm not playing either, Dad, I said. The door stays shut. You have the car keys. I suggest you go find a hotel. A hotel? Lily screamed. It's midnight. We don't have our wallets. Mom left her purse inside. I looked at the camera. I saw the purse on the kitchen island. That's unfortunate, I said. Maybe you can ask the neighbors, or maybe you can use the emergency cash Dad always keeps in his truck. Addison, please, my mother's voice changed. It switched from anger to the victim tone, the wavering, tearful voice she used to manipulate me. Please, honey, it's cold. Your father's back hurts. We just wanted to be close to you. We wanted to feel close to your success. Don't do this to us. Don't be cruel. Cruel? Was I cruel? I looked at the picture she posted hours ago, peace without the drama. You wanted peace, I said. Now you have it. You're off the property. I will never forgive you for this, she screamed, the mask slipping instantly. You ungrateful little brat, after everything we did for you. Goodbye, Mom, I said. I hung up. I watched the screen. My mother stared at the phone in her hand. She threw her hands up in the air and screamed something at the camera. Then she slumped against the rental car. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I just felt light. The weight of their expectations, the weight of their entitlement, it was all on the other side of that locked door. I was safe in Seattle, and for the first time, my house in Malibu was safe too. But I knew the night wasn't over. They wouldn't just leave. They would stage a protest. They would make a scene. I texted Tom, my property manager. They are outside. They are locked out. Please proceed with the 7 a.m. removal. If they are still in the driveway, call the police if necessary. I put the phone down. I kept the live feed open on my second screen. I wasn't going to sleep tonight. I was going to stand guard. As the night wore on, the situation in Malibu deteriorated. My family was cold and tired. They had run out of gas in the rental car, and the lights went out. They were huddled together, shivering. My phone started ringing again. It was my father. His voice was different now, tight and controlled, but I could hear the anger underneath. This has gone on long enough. Your mother is crying. Your sister is freezing. Open the door. I can't do that, I said. Don't give me that can't garbage, he snapped. You have a phone. You have an app. I watched you turn off the siren. You can unlock the door just as easily. I physically can, I corrected myself. But I won't. You are trespassing, Dad. If you were strangers, I would have called the police hours ago. I gave you the courtesy of leaving on your own. Trespassing? He laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. We are your parents. We raised you. We fed you. You don't get to call us trespassers. We have a right to be here. No, I said. You don't. You have a right to your own home in Ohio. You don't have a right to my property in California. You didn't ask. You sneaked in. You used an emergency code to steal a vacation. We didn't steal anything, he shouted. We were just using it. It was sitting empty. What kind of selfish person lets a house sit empty when her family could be enjoying it? It's not about the house being empty, I said. It's about respect. You lied to me. Mom posted on Instagram implying I gave you permission. That was a lie. Oh, who cares about Instagram? He yelled. That's just internet nonsense. Real life is family. Real life is helping your flesh and blood. Real life is boundaries, I said. Listen to me, he said, his voice dropping to a menacing growl. If you don't open this door in 5 minutes, I'm going to break a window. I'll smash the glass. I'll climb in and I'll sleep in that bed. And you can send me the bill. I looked at the monitor. I saw him sitting in the driver's seat of the rental car, looking furious. If you break a window, I said, keeping my voice very steady, the alarm will trigger again. The police will be automatically dispatched, and I will press charges. There was silence on the line. You wouldn't, he said. You wouldn't arrest your own father. Try me, I said. I've spent the last 10 years trying to buy your love. I'm done paying. If you destroy my property, I will treat you like a criminal. He hung up on me. I watched the screen. He slammed his phone against the steering wheel. My mother said something to him, but he waved her off. He didn't break the window. He knew I was serious. 10 minutes later, Lily called. Her voice was shaking, and she was crying. Addison, please, I have to pee. I really have to pee. Please, just let me in for 5 minutes to use the bathroom. It was a tactic. I knew it. If I unlocked the door for 5 minutes, they would all rush in. They would refuse to leave. They would barricade themselves inside. "There is a gas station 3 miles down the highway," I said. "It's open 24 hours. I can't drive the rental car. Dad has the keys, and he won't drive. He's just sitting there staring at the wall." "Then walk," I said, "or go in the bushes." "I don't care, Lily." "You are such a bitch," she spat out. The crying stopped instantly. "You are a jealous, lonely, bitter. You have all this money and no friends. That's why you're doing this. You're jealous that we actually like each other, and you're all alone." "I'm alone by choice tonight," I said, "and I'm warm and I have a bathroom." "I hate you," she said. "I hope you lose everything. I hope the market crashes and you lose every dime." "Good night, Lily," I said. I hung up. The words stung. Lonely, bitter. They knew exactly where to hit me. They knew my deepest insecurity was that my success had isolated me. But as I sat there, I realized something. My success hadn't isolated me. They had isolated me. Their behavior made it impossible for me to trust anyone. I kept people at a distance because I was so used to people wanting something from me. Locking them out wasn't making me lonelier. It was protecting the peace I had left. As the sun began to rise, I watched as Tom and his security team arrived at the house. They blocked the rental car in, and there was no escape. My father tried to assert his dominance, but Tom was calm and firm. He explained the situation to my family and told them they had to leave. My mother tried to argue, but Tom wouldn't budge. He sent his security guy, Mike, inside to collect their belongings. It took a while, but eventually they were all outside, their suitcases packed. My father was still angry, but he knew he had no choice. They got into the rental car and drove away. I watched them go, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. I knew I had made the right decision, but it still hurt to know that my relationship with my family was probably over. After they left, I called Tom to check on the house. He said there was some damage, but nothing major. He had already called a cleaning crew and a locksmith to change the locks. I decided to fly back to Malibu to see the house for myself. I was nervous. I hadn't been there since I watched them on the camera. I was afraid it would feel tainted. When I arrived, I unlocked the front door with my new key. The house was silent. The air smelled like the ocean and lemon cleaning polish. Tom's cleaning crew had done a good job. I walked through the house, checking every room. Everything was clean and in order. The white sofa where my mother had put her dirty feet was spotless. The scratches on the copper pans were gone. I stood in the middle of the living room, looking out at the ocean. I felt a sense of ownership. This was my house, and I had finally taken back control. Over the next few days, I spent time purifying the space. I woke up early and made coffee in my copper pans. I sat on the deck and read a book in silence. I swam in the pool without anyone splashing or screaming. It was quiet. And for the first time, I realized that peace wasn't just the absence of noise. It was the absence of anxiety. I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. I wasn't waiting for a snide comment. I realized I had been living in a state of chronic stress for years. My body had been tight, ready for a fight, ready to defend myself. Now, my muscles could finally relax. But I didn't want to be alone forever. Lily's words still echoed in my head sometimes. "You'll die alone." I decided to prove her wrong. I invited my friends. I have a small circle of friends in Seattle, people I met in business school or through work. People who had their own careers, their own money, and their own lives. We didn't talk about money. We talked about ideas. We talked about books. I sent a text to a group chat. "Impromptu weekend in Malibu, I'm cooking." 3 of them said yes immediately. They arrived on Friday night. Emily, who runs a non-profit, David, an architect, and Sam, a writer. When they walked in, the difference was immediate. Emily walked in and said, "Addison, this view is incredible. Thank you so much for having us." David walked in and handed me a bottle of vintage wine. A housewarming gift. "I know you've had it for a while, but it's a new chapter, right?" We cooked dinner together. We made tacos. Everyone helped. David chopped vegetables. Emily set the table. Sam made the drinks. Nobody sat on the couch waiting to be served. Nobody criticized my choice of ingredients. We sat on the deck as the sun went down. The fire pit was lit. The same fire pit my family had used. But the vibe was completely different. We laughed. We told stories. At one point, I went into the kitchen to get more water. I looked out at them through the glass door. They were my chosen family. They didn't